live. Go live. Okay. Always so much fun setting this up when we have a guest lecturer. Okay. welcome to class, everyone. Thank you for making the time to come. I know we're getting closer to finals, so things are a little bit more challenging now. Everyone's got a lot to do, but I'm very excited about this guest lecture. Today I have with me Anita Kmierczyk, I hope I pronounced that right, who is talking about crafting. Okay, who's talking about crafting your UX portfolio to find your UX job match. So completely relevant to you if you want to go out to the job market. Later today in our frenzies, we'll talk a bit more about contextual inquiry, but we're going to get started with this one about UX portfolios and finding your UX job match. And over to Anita.
Awesome. Thank you, Leonard. Having me, it's really a pleasure. It's my first time I'm talking to students. And I haven't been a student for a while, so that's quite. But I can actually relate to exams because I am taking my Norwegian exam.
No.
It's an echo.
Sorry, I tried something. It wasn't good. Just
no
let's
worries.
keep it this way.
Right into it. Let me share the screen. Real quick. Screen. All right. I hope you can see it. Maybe, Leonard, you can show me the thumbs up or something. Is it working? Is it fine? Okay. Cool. I guess we can start. So I'm super excited today to be able to talk to you about crafting your UX portfolio to find your UX job match. And why I am highlighting a UX job match, you will find out during this presentation because it's a very specific way I'm going to explain you this. Of course, everything will be based on my personal experiences, but also on some sort of the research this summer. So I was interviewing hiring managers from all over the. So you'll be the first one who will hear some juicy insights from this research. The research I am doing for my product about portfolios, so it's very, very relevant, I guess, for you. And of course, my all failures that I did in my career and some successes as well. But let me maybe first introduce myself. My name is Aneta, UX designer at Vipps Mobile Pay. This is a fintech organization in. I'm calling you from Norway. It's pretty late at my place, but for this talk, I am so much excited because I also share on Instagram on the account ux.aneta as well as on LinkedIn. So if you want to hear more about my thoughts about history, you can find me there, and also you can reach out to me. I am also a UX. And I have 5 years of experience in UX design, but I have also a background in architecture. So I actually haven't studied design or anything similar to UX design. I studied architecture, but also for people. So something that is a bit close, but not identical. So what are we going? First of all, I'm going to talk about the UX approach in your. This is something that sometimes if we forget about. I'm going to talk also about go ahead, be bold, and what does it mean? You will find out during the second. It's about being unique and it's about finding your designer. We'll also talk about saying more than hello when you're building your UX portfolio and actually trying to onboard your reader, your hiring manager to your portfolio. We'll also talk about saying more interviews. That's something that I've seen many times in portfolios. Myself as well. I will be showing a lot of my screens from my old portfolio. And one of the most exciting parts which is showing more than one mockup, but not too many to get blurred. And what does it mean? You will also find out, but it's something about the balancing between screen and versus showing many. It's also important to talk about the reader experience. So we are UX design. Probably know already we should treat our portfolios as our products, and we should use our design skills also while building our portfolios. And last but not least, say more than thank you for watching. I assume maybe some of you or most of you should know this statement. This is the very, very common statement that sometimes people place in the end of the case study. Usually I've seen it on Behance. And we would like to make something better. So I will talk about this. And of course, it's about maintaining your UX portfolio, which is super important to forget about this when we are going to this job. We're excited about new tasks, new projects, and after some time it's like, okay, I don't know, I got laid off, or maybe there is like another job opportunity and I don't have a portfolio. So it's kind of good to be prepared for this. So these are the main points, and I also juicy exercises for you to in between, so that you will not get bored to me but also there will be some practice. The first point is about using the UX approach in your UX portfolio. And what does it mean? Well, let's start from talking about the mindset that many of us, when we start with in the industry we have. When we start, or where we are even in between jobs, especially in the trying figure out things, we think, okay, I want to work in a perfect organization where there will be no mess, no others, and where it'll be easy for me to just get into this. And when we have this thinking, we're thinking, okay, so for this, I need to find the best guidelines and tools. And then we're, Googling or maybe looking for some on Instagram or LinkedIn, trying to find out, okay, I should use, or what is the best guideline, this one guideline that I should follow. And after this, there's the third point. Sometimes we also request, okay, I need a template and one answer for what to show and how. And the problem with this is that after this is how our portfolios might look like. When we are following the same guidelines, when we are following the same tools, when we are following the same template, user research, 5 user interviews, sketches, wireframe, solution, ideation, everything starts to look the same. As you probably can, this is not how we want to work. We want to change this mindset to create something unique, because this question about how to make my portfolio unique, I'm getting quite often. And it's actually not ultimately, but about this much. But I will get into this in a sec. It's mindset shift. Basically, we should optimize for learning and think long term. And I will explain now what does it mean in details. Optimize for just a few. As I told you, I run the interviews as well as survey in the summer this year, and I talked with about 20 all over the world, including Canada, and their behavioral patterns when they are trying to recruit when they're trying to recruit a designer to their team, how many portfolios they need to review, and actually how the process and what is their approach to this. And to be honest, among all of those 20 hiring managers that I talked to, it really depends on the person. And that's another thing, right? So we should optimize for hiring managers, but remembering that not every hiring manager is the same. That's why some on ADP list, you can have a mentoring call with one who will tell you, okay, you should do A, and then you will go to another person who will tell you, okay, you should do B. And we shouldn't be surprised that there are some differences between our opinions, because we are just humans, right? So biases, but also preferences. For those, sometimes, unfortunately, we can't optimize, but we can optimize for some hiring managers are busy, that they want to find person who is good for the role, for the team, and for the company, right? So these things we can analyze, because we can research, okay, we have found this job offer, we can actually analyze this job offer, then we can try to figure out, okay, who is in this team, what those designers are doing, who is this hiring manager, what this company is about, right? Would my designer profile place, is it the place that I would like to work in, or is it fit? How about my experiences, skills, personality versus this role, this job, this team, this company? This is how we should compare it. And of course, the further in the recruitment process you are, the easier it gets to actually compare it, right? In the beginning, when you don't have a person from this organization, it's a bit harder, but it's still possible. Find a lot of information online, or even maybe you can use your network to research who actually work in this organization. So that's the first thing in the mindset shift. Another thing is about optimizing for learning. So we shouldn't aim to find the best guidelines or tools or one template. Progress. I think sometimes we are rushing out. I have done this university stuff. I studied architecture. Then on top of this, I also studied graphic design and I was working. So I really, really wanted to finish this. It was like terrible. And I wanted to change the career to UX design. I wanted to have this change like within one day. I was so impatient. I was like, this will happen like tomorrow. And we shouldn't like approach this in this way, because if we really want to be designers, it's like a long term. For the whole life, maybe not, who knows, but we should focus more on progress. What actually I'm going to learn from this. And the same when it comes to the portfolio, because it's in a sense, right? It's our product, that's the first part, but it's also a form of a practice of your expression of how you can your thinking processes, how you can tell stories about your projects. So please don't obsess over perfectionist, but just on progress. Let's draft portfolio, apply to some jobs, and keep learning. And of course, sometimes you manager, probably most of the time not, because of the number of applications. That's obvious. But of course, we can also learn, right? For instance, if you have a website, you can easily plug in something and even start from this. But you can also do a lot of qualitative portfolio. My portfolio is in Figma. Never-ending work in progress, but not that work in progress that I can't show. It's a work in progress that I actually can show and tell us. Sometimes from time to time, I iterate on this or add something else. That's how you should approach this, and you should learn and just progress, because that's why you will be faster in this process. You will get better quicker, because ultimately it's about thinking in the long term. Okay, let's move forward to the second part. Be bold. This is my favorite one because it's about us as. You have probably seen it. Maybe you have done this mistake yourself. I have done it myself, and I will show you in a second the screenshots from my first. But many times we see portfolios with everything. We try, those designers, including I did the same, like we try to show everything. And because we think, okay, I can do all, right? Because I did in the university, let's say, workshops, I did some prioritization of features for some projects, even building design system. I was doing everything. So yeah, why not to show, right? But then this is an example of what I did to this degree, that I was showing some sort of business strategy. Even this is not a business strategy, an exercise that we had during the project that I was doing. So I have a lot of I have some echo. Okay, I don't have it anymore. Thank you, Leonard. Continue. Sorry, I lost everything after this voice. But anyway, I was just something that I was showing in my first portfolio. As you can see, this is relevant, right? I was showing some part of the exercise that I in the university, in the course, right? So it can go. I don't want to do it. And why we are doing this? Well, first of all, usually when we start, there's probably a diagram that you have seen many times. We think, okay, yes, I finished the university and I know everything. This is what I thought when I finished that architecture degree, by the way. It was really, really not what was happening. I didn't know a lot of things. So at this point, like this perception that we know a lot, although we might just start figuring out things like what is UX versus UI. Then we are progressing and we are at this point that, okay, I am like starting to realizing not that much, even though that at this point we might already know some. We have some doubts. We don't know how to, for instance, explain our design, how to talk with developers. We actually, because it's sometimes the math, right? And many times, most of the times, to be honest. So we are like starting to doubt ourselves and our abilities. Okay, can I do it actually? What should I tell to this developer? I mean, like, I haven't done enough research, or I don't know, I haven't done, we in this team. I mean, what should I do, And then with this with your career, you join new teams, new projects, and ultimately reach this point, which is perfect, the most comfortable spot moment when you say, okay, I don't know, but I will learn, right? Right now might be not perfect. I don't know. I am not good at visuals. I am not good at telling stories so much. Okay, that's fine. I mean, you will learn. It's like with design. When you design, you can't like design like straight away and say, oh, okay, this is done. It's perfect, right? And follow you. It's just never done. People are changing. The market is changing. It's you can't be perfect. It's impossible. And when you will reach this moment when you will actually realize, okay, and you will be able to admit that, okay, I don't know, but okay, I will try practice or whatever. That's the most comfortable moment, to be honest. I wish you all reach this moment, really, because if we are think that those designs that I can do design system, the business strategy, value proposition canvas, that I can do sketches and then about solving user problems, then again, everyone, it seems like everyone is passionate about the same, but UX design is so broad that it's like just so then what was the outcome of this? Well, we are UX designers, and that's not what we want to get from this process, right? We want to get a job, we want to progress, we want to learn, we want to, it's that's the way we want to solve great problems. So what to do instead? Well, we need to define our designer profile, which is a very exciting part for me always. For instance, your designer skills, something that is very close to the design process. I don't know. For instance, you might be good at visual design. You might be good at qualitative user research, or maybe you could be good in quantitative user research. Maybe you are very good at analytics, or maybe you are very good at ideation or getting insights and transforming them into some ideas. Maybe this is your skill. Maybe this is something that you enjoy doing right now in the university. This is the way how you might think about this. The second bucket would be maybe with the industry, product type, or maybe you even enjoy doing solving specific problems. In the company I work for, there is, I have one colleague who is in the identity team, and this girl is really passionate about login and figuring out all their login and sign up flows, which of course for us from the front end perspective, that sounds super boring. There are a lot of bits and pieces in the backend and alignment and all the different systems that are backend that it's really exciting and it's very, very unique. And this interest in some specific things will actually make you visible, make you more than a boring designer, but not literally not a boring designer, right? And the third bucket is totally not related with the designer skills, but more about your maybe. Remember 5 years ago when I was transitioning from architecture to UX Gallup test. This is a paid test, but I know that there are a lot of different personality tests online. I actually liked the Gallup test, and it wasn't something that I have found in this report that this was so unique and something that I haven't known about. Just confirmed me that I am very structured, and this is actually about me. So what is your superpower? Maybe you are, I don't know, a good storyteller. Maybe you're interested into, I don't know, I don't know how the payment life cycle works. I don't know. You have probably some interest, you have some superpowers that you might want to highlight, and that for the designer job. It's also worth remembering that, of course, yes, you can change. Because I sometimes get questions from other designers. Write in my portfolio that, I am just a designer in fintech, or I'm just designing for B2C, then I won't get any opportunities for B2B. I mean, you still can get those opportunities, but you're more specified online or in your presence, and you. It's not that tomorrow maybe you will not be a UX designer. Who knows? For instance, I am not so sure if I will be a UX designer in some time. So it's possible to change. That's the whole fun, the fun part of this journey that we can. Because ultimately, it's about, you probably know it, comparing, right? After you can see the job description. This is from Apple. I just picked something up. And I'm just going and reviewing. Okay, so they are looking for health. Okay, maybe I have experience from healthcare, or maybe not. Okay, they are looking for someone with bachelor's degree in design or health related field. Okay, then I have it. Okay. Strong ideation, generation, concept development part. Okay, yeah, I did some workshops and I'm very good at working cross-functionally. And I don't know, 100 workshops or something. And that's how we are comparing this. Of course, when you are just starting out, it's a bit more difficult, but it's not unrealistic, because you can also use and compare your previous experiences, or also those experiences that you have get right now from the university, from working with your peers. Maybe you have done some freelance work, maybe you have done some internships. You should think about all and try to find the match, and that's the. So let's practice. I don't know how we will do it, Leonard, if you have shared the link, or should I do it, but I have a small exercise. There we
Sorry.
go. Oh, cool. I can see some people inside. Awesome. Exciting. So if you could go to you don't need to log in, as it should be like available in edit option for everyone. You can just pick up your board here in the first while you will be logging in. I will be explaining what you actually need to do. So we are going to work around your designer profile. And of course, we don't have so much time. So it will be just the beginning for you probably. But we want to identify some of your design superpowers and some of your strengths. Yes, there was a bit of an echo still, but that's fine. So how you should do it? First of all, section. So think, okay, what I was enjoying doing in my last design project that I did in the university, in which part of this design process, in this design project, I was spending the most time, because I was so excited about this. I was so into this. I could spend hours and just figuring this out. What was it? Other thing that I would also recommend you, if you have some peers next, you can just ask a couple of questions that I peers, because if you have done together some projects, they have probably noticed some superpowers that you have, and it will be much. It's a very quick exercise, but I hope it will be fun. You need to just find your spot, pick this up, and there are two parts of this design superpowers part. So I'm just to repeat. I don't know, maybe you're good at visual design, qualitative research, maybe you are good at ideation, and natural strengths. I don't know, maybe you are very structured like myself, or maybe you're very empathetic, and when you always when you talk with people, you really what's going on with them, how they are going, all those things. I don't know if anyone has questions or anything is unclear. I hope it's
Yeah, I'm
fine.
gonna.
I can see you. Yeah, there is an echo, Leonard, still.
There's gonna be some echo to mute you in between when I talk. Otherwise, there's gonna be some echo. But I think there's no immediate questions. Everyone here is good. They all have the link. Okay, everyone is ready to
Cool.
go. All right, I'm gonna mute myself again and put you on speaker.
I will turn on the timer. Will, of course, just 5 minutes because we don't have so much. I don't know if I can actually turn on destroy something, but I would naturally do it. Not sure if this would be maybe it won't work for you. Let's see. Cool. This one. That's cool. It took me some time to learn. Oh, this is a good one. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we have run out of time. But there was some good ones. There were some more detailed, the ones that were more general. So for instance, when you write visual design, it's very general. There are a lot of topics in visual design. There was one person who actually wrote some, which is a lot more precise than visual design. So that's something about us. But I know that it takes some time, so I can definitely recommend you some sort of journaling and also trying to document what you're actually hearing from others about yourself. But we will come back to the portfolio part. Now let's move on. We're actually getting into some bits and pieces of the portfolio itself. So hello, what does it mean even? So basically, sometimes when I'm reviewing portfolios, when on my mentoring sessions, I'm just doing some, I'm just browsing online, I'm seeing a lot of portfolios that start, hello, I am a product designer based in San Francisco or in another city, I don't know. And then I am like, okay, another one. But the problem. So let's check projects. And then I'm seeing, okay, Spotify app redesign. Okay, another Spotify redesign. Everyone is doing a Spotify redesign and everyone is a product designer from San Francisco. Then this may be not a problem, but it's because basically when you have your portfolio, you are inviting to this portfolio new people. Make this assumption that almost most of the time. Portfolio is like, I don't know, landing page, a marketing website, your personal brand website. So for instance, when you are designing a product, this is B2B or B2C, you actually try to, right? Even though that you have, let's say, assume that you have created a very simple flows and basically design is smooth and delightful and all of this. But still, you're still trying to onboard the user. B2C. So you could think about this same way when you are actually introducing something to your reader, to the hiring manager, when this person is opening your website, the homepage, or maybe the first slide in your portfolio, right? Or when, for instance, starting reading your case study, what you're saying to this person, what are the first things that are visible to this person, how you on board this person so that it would be quick and easy, because as we know, people generally don't have time. It's not just hiring managers, we are all busy. Basically, you have exams, I have my work, it's basically 9:30. It's like we are busy, so there are also so much content. So we need to really think strategically and be very intentional about what we are actually showing and telling to the hiring manager. So think about, I don't know, is this project a B2C project? What's the business goal? Is it a commercial project or maybe a university project? What is actually the problem you're solving? What was your role? How you have project? Where is the value for customers? And then this, your readers gets on board, right? And that's what we want to do. Instead of just saying, hello, I am a UX designer and this is my Spotify. So write crispy and clear. For instance, if you, on this exercise that we've just done, you have written visual design, then okay, what does it mean? Because visual design, it can be in architecture, in graphic design, in anything, this is, it can be those colors on this, in this presentation, or maybe typography, or maybe layouts, there are some bits and pieces that could, if minutes thinking about this, browsing the files that you've done, even, you will find out. So that's what we aim for. And from this one, writing crispy and clear, we can go straight away to saying more than 5 user interviews. So this is something that I think, because it's quite fun. When people write, okay, I could, then another person is, okay, I did user testing. this is something that I've seen in some sticky notes as well. I did some sketches to figure out final solution or maybe something else. And then I am like, okay, I mean, that's cool. I guess we're all doing this. We're all doing research. This is our job. If you are in the university, this is process. Or when we, like when we are on a full-time design position. The questions that hiring manager might, why you have actually talked with 5 users, not 6, 7, or 1, or 10, or whatever. What have you actually learned, and why actually have you selected user interviews for this project or for this stage in the process? Into something different than just methods or stages of the, because this is how our approach look like when we write 5 user interviews: ideation, visual design, research. I need to have a portfolio, the case study. So I need to write about the problem. This is the first part. Then, I need to say that I did some research, right? Because it's like, I can't say that I didn't. Then, the third part is of course, to test, and that's it. Okay, so sometimes we are also make it like more, I don't know, fun, that we are iterating. But we are all, we should, that should be obvious. And then we are like, okay, step 1, I have it in my portfolio. The problem is there. Awesome. User research is there. Awesome. Ideation, testing. Amazing. And then we all have it, And ultimately then, if everyone is approaching this in this way, you can see, okay, all those guys everyone is talking with 5 users. I mean, how is it even possible? It's like, why 5 users? Like, who is this user? It's like so generic that it's like ultimately just in those, like when we can see like there's a couple of people or even hundreds of people, I would see 5 user interviews. Okay, maybe it was for some it was true, but who cares? Those 5 user interviews, fine, but it's not the juicy part, and we want the juicy part. Because if we follow this ABCD, this is boring. We're just, showing the framework. And the framework, sorry, but we all know that there is double diamond, triple diamond, and all of this crap. This is very basic. I've all been done, and there's also many other professions outside of the design. They are also not thinking as well, many of them. So it's not about this, that the framework, because this is, you know the framework, right? But you should show this in a different way. So how to do it? Well, you should talk about insights. And that's easier said than done. But that's the so share learnings instead of talking about. So, what was the most exciting project? Like, for instance, what was the aha moment? Like something that when you were, I don't know, doing this, let's say that we have all done those 5 user interviews. What was this key learning from those 5 user interviews? Finish in this 5th user, why we haven't continued, and actually why we have decided on this user interview, not a survey or, I don't know, a diary study or whatever. You know what I mean? You need to find so exciting. And to be honest, of the project itself, you have those feelings like when you are interviewing people and you are like, that was so interesting after had it already when in your even university projects, and then you're like, okay, this is so cool. Then, and based on this learning, you are like, okay, I need to now that, and suddenly you are starting realizing what to do. Learning actually inform the next steps in the process. And the third, my favorite, to sprinkle some data. So you have done the 5 user interviews, fine, but have you done anything else, like maybe some quantitative research, or maybe you have found any market juicy numbers? Then we want to see it. I remember in one organization, I was in a meeting with, and they were I was helping with a presentation, and we didn't have it was not so much data, so the guys were just making this up because they wanted to pitch it later to some, and they were just us estimating. They were prototyping with numbers, they were making guesses. To this extent, important. Because we don't want to write, I designed an app, Spotify app redesign or whatsoever. Instead, we could write, okay, improving employee engagement through mobile device. This is what I have done. Or maybe, okay, instead of 5 user interviews, what I can write. These are, of course, just examples. I explored the problem area by talking with blue-collar workers. And blue-collar workers are those users. So we are not talking about users. We are not talking about people. We are not talking about humans. About concrete, specific people, blue who work somewhere on the shop floors and so on. And why we did it? To deeply understand why they do not report incidents. And that was the problem. They didn't do it, And that suddenly sounds much more than saying I conducted 5 user interviews, It makes you more visible in this recruitment process. Okay, so it's time for another exercise. It's also fun, I guess. I hope so. So we can hop on the file and let me turn on another board. We can't do so many exercises today, unfortunately, but I had so many. But let's take this. Okay, so how to talk about insights. That's basically.
Anita?
Yes?
Just wanted to do a quick announcement for the people that are watching online, because they've asked for the link. And so I don't know if all of that messaging is coming through, but the link is just for the class here. So the people that are watching online do not have the link. And if Anita wants to share the link with you later, then she can do that. Just be aware that for the time currently, it's only done in class. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we can, what you can do? You can actually do those exercises. You can just do it on paper. I mean, it's just, these are just questions. You don't need a board. You have questions here. So, yeah. Of course, I can share the link. That's not a problem later on. Okay, so talking about insights, what we are going to do, we are going to rewrite framework. So how about the problem, the user research, the person. I'm sure all of you have done an UX project so far, so just pick one, the one that you maybe already have, like to improve it, or maybe the one that you would like to have in your portfolio. Just think about the one where you actually remember some things. Because what I would like you to do, if you pick the board, I would like you to rewrite how you would differently say, like what you would write instead of writing that this is a section about the problem. What would you write? What would you write differently to say that you have done user research? What about the persona, the mock-up solution? Of course, we won't be able to do everything, but you can start. So about being very precise and about sharing your. So if this was the problem, then okay, who had this problem? Where this problem, okay, why was this a problem for this person? How have you learned about this problem? Then we are moving to user research, okay? Why have you selected this? What you have learned? What is this person? Like, who is he? Who is she? Wireframes, okay. Yeah, designed in this wireframe section. Why this solution? I hope it's clear, but if anyone from the class has any questions, maybe Leonard can share, but no, if not, I will just turn on the time and we can
spend. Anyone? No? Everyone's good? Okay, all right, we're heading
Cool.
into the exercise.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm turning on the timer. And some music. I don't know if you can hear it actually. And I'll be making comments as well. Oh, that's cool. actually, but FigJam doesn't have so much music option here. Yeah, I know that this is a hard part. I know it. Awesome. Yeah, I can see this is a problem. Okay. I will turn off the music for now. If you're problem again, who had the problem? Why this was the problem? What was the like what's the problem? I mean, was it like a specific job that users were doing, or was it like specific goal that they were trying to achieve? What was it? Try to write about this. User research. Okay, was it something that you've done in process, or maybe something that you've done after doing some ID? And what was actually the outcome of this? What did you get any specific juicy learnings from this? For instance, I'm right now in users. I can't tell the exact details here, but a lot. For instance, I've learned recently that I need to interview a lot of them, and it won't be just 5, to be honest. So I also have learned that there are a lot of different cases for those people. It's like I would have not expected this before the interviews. So you want to share something like this for the persona actually, or maybe this is more like an archetype. But who is this user? Is it like a user role because it's I don't know, a B2B product? Is it maybe a concrete person who's doing specific things? Like hiring manager would be one of the archetypes, right? And it would be a person who is probably has a lot of tasks on their plate, is just trying to recruit the for their roles. So much time, I don't know, they are reviewing portfolios, I don't know, in midnight. Okay, that's maybe not that bad, I hope so, at least. But you try to think, try to ask yourself those questions, and don't remember so much about the project. Let's see what you've done so far. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. It was a very, very short time, I know, but you have done pretty well in the first part. And also here, there are so many good things. Some of you have written many times people, and this is actually something that you can specify more, like people, I don't know, from Canada, specific, I don't know, generation, people with specific behaviors, and that's what's actually interesting if you talk about behaviors. Awesome. Let's move on because we're definitely running out of time. Continue the exercise because it's something that can help you actually with, being more precise when you talk about your case study. But let's go into some visuals, something that about the title of this part of the talk is about showing more than one mock-up, but not too many to get blurred. And this is, I am super proud of this title, by the way, because I think it's literally saying the thing I wanted to that sound. I mean, like it's something in between. It's like, but yeah, let me tell you the story. On the left, just one screen. And this is, of course, another example from my first portfolio 5 years ago. One screen. What's going on with this one screen? I'm asking, I have so many questions in my one screen. On the right, I did exaggerate it a bit about this screen because I've blurred this a bit just to highlight the issue. But on the right, it's another project from my first project, a lot of screens, lots of screens. And I was like, okay. So let's ask some questions. What type of questions the hiring manager might have to? Let's start with the version A. Screen. So one of my questions can be, okay, what can users do before and after? Because, it's never like one thing. User is not like just in this beginning to the end. It's the people are always coming from digitally and physically. There's something else that our products as well. So that's one question. Another, okay, is this screen fulfill users' goals? What is actually this user goal? What happens quest demo? And why and how I have actually, was it the only design I have made? If yes, then it, because it's very hard to just design one thing and it's amazing. Let's look at the option B. So many screens. Okay, so my question is, okay, I actually can't read anything. Yes, I bet you can't either. So is it actually an image? Design thing that should just make our case study portfolio like what was it? Like make it pop? Why have you decided to show this image? What is the value in showing this image? With what was the intention? Why actually the reader, so potentially the hiring manager, might actually bother and spend some. What is here? Where actually users start. Like, I mean, like where is the flow? Where I don't know what's happening here. More questions. Probably you have them as well. So the problem is images in both, but not telling a story. And then we again we're ending up with the same outcome, the boring UX designers. And this is not what we want to get from this. The trick, this method that I mentioned is about thinking about balancing between zooming out and zooming in. Sometimes in the story, you want to zoom in and talk about the details and talk more in, closer, show me this here, Whereas on the other hand, sometimes you might want to just introduce the content, talk holistically. So when you should actually use the zoom out option, when you should show like, more of a flow, for instance. Exactly. So when you, for instance, would like to introduce the flow that you have, how actually the user might be able to achieve this goal or maybe do this job that she or he has to do. What is the happy flow, but also what are the other flows maybe, right? Another example is when you would like to show some exploration, like this first screen. I have shown just, to be honest, I was basically literally showing just one screens everywhere from the beginning of the case study to the then it's like, is it enough? Like the only design I have done? This exploration part is a perfect moment to actually for the zoom out in the story. I want to show exploration, and this is one thing that I can't see often in the portfolios. I was actually with my colleagues, we were recruiting interns for the summer internship the next year, and to be honest, exploration, and that was super interested in this, because this is the fun part of our job, when we actually can just no alignment, we are just figuring things out. This is the amazing moment, really, and we should, so we want to show it, because this is also what can to hiring managers how we think. And of course we don't that to look the same, or flows that are basically literally the same. We want a bit of a contrast in our presentation, so it's also about prioritizing, but that's about, we are showing that you did this ideation, of course, why you have done so many exploration, what was the outcome of from this exploration, what you have learned, and how you have prioritized solutions, ideas, right? And the middle part is about introducing context, which happen in the beginning, for instance, right? Although it can happen process, right, in every point actually. And this is directly connected with about in the beginning, that you have every almost actually assume that you have a new reader of your portfolio, a new hiring manager, right? So then it's a new it's like a new you anything about your product, even if this might be very easy. It's still like a learning curve. Sometimes it can be more flat, sometimes it can be more curved. Aim to be more flat than curve. That's why we want to introduce the concept. That's what we can do by thinking about, okay, this is a moment when I need to zoom out and just show the holistic approach, and just say, okay, this is a product for blue collar workers in the health safety environment industry. We are trying incidents because it's important from the safety perspective, blah 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 blah, this. And this is an example actually of course screens, of course, from because of the NDA, but basically this is an example how I was showing the user flow, and this is more of the current and this is very simple. I was just showing what happens in like the flow, and also what happens before starting to use the digital solution, and what will happen after, because the journey there, of course, this is more complicated, but basically when they from this as well as output goes fast process. So this is what I am showing as well, because it's interesting projects for the process as well. In the bottom, I'm trying to simplify the process just to highlight that these are the main steps in other things happening, right? But this is how I introduce the context. But what about zoom in? Well, when we want to show, and for instance, we want to take one screen and we want to talk about this in more details. Okay, why actually, what the user can do on the screen, what user can do, what user can see, right? And what can happen after clicking on this button and on that, or on this, I don't know, link. Before and after, like for instance, for testing or something that is, you need to actually zoom in to see the details. And this is another example, of course, another one with just one screens, but in another screen, I was showing, this is still the same project. I was showing testing part. We were testing. It was the form, and we were testing the one-pager scrolling form, and another one with step-by-step process. And I am talking about two things, which is not 5 or 10. This is just two. This is very zoom in, right? Can't see all of them, you just can see a couple. So that's how you should think about this. And of course, if you zoom in, we should think about the details also, from because here we can actually talk, okay, I have moved, I don't know, the button or something from this part to this part, and this maybe has improved the conversion, and why I have done it, and all of this. This is the things we want to talk at this stage. Whereas in the zoom out, in this flow, we want to talk, okay, the user can do that, this, that, and that, and ultimately he will be able to finish his task, I don't know, maybe in 1 minute, right? This type of things. And of course, I can't tell you when and where actually you should talk about zoom out and zoom in, because it's about balance. Highly dependent on your story. But I gave you some tips how you could think about this. But it's actually this balance to a bit more, many mockups, right? But what about the reader experience? So something that is also directly connected to the first point of this talk, where when I was talking about the UX approach. It's not only about the first stage when you are trying to research the company, the hiring manager, role, organization, and I understand yourself, but it's also about the experience you are shaping in your portfolio, right? It might sound obvious, but we often forget when we actually ultimately we see to do this portfolio. It's like so we want to think about this even if we have less time. How we could think about this? Well, first of all, we could think about this with this marketing approach mindset. How actually this journey for a hiring manager works? Well, we can assume that probably I start from the resume. Most cases, from what I probably a hiring manager, but I've also heard from some managers. Actually, it was one company from Canada. I can't tell you the name, but the hiring manager wasn't actually responsible for reviewing resumes and portfolios, because this person actually gave a checklist to review everything. And this person was actually doing this like a very, very deep scanning and inviting for the interview. Of course, a quick look by a hiring manager as well, but basically this initial very like high level walk through all applications hiring manager, including the portfolio part. So that's actually very interesting. But your part when it comes to the portfolio can be right, because it's usually after resume if it goes well, the resume part. And to be honest, there are different types of hiring managers, right? There are some I've heard that from some I've heard that okay, they just want to see the because they care the most about the portfolio and the work, whereas others are I need to review the resume, and if I don't find anything interesting in the resume, I even don't click in the link to the portfolio. There are different archetypes, there are different personas, whatever we call right, there are different behavioral patterns. And after this, and this hiring manager opens the portfolio, his or her interest, we want to grasp their attention, they can turn into interview invites. How to do it? Well, definitely by using visual hierarchy. Very, very important. It's like our design superpower, and it can really change the perception of the portfolio, case study, website, everything, really. When you play with the balance, when you play with the optical correction. If you're not very good at visual design and visual hierarchy, you're not still getting this. I mean, you can still browse and go to some great websites, feel like some great agencies or some big brands. Check, okay, what are the spacing that they're using, or maybe you can also browse some templates. But of course, with this you need to really be sure that okay, this good visual hierarchy. This is a good template. That's also another skill. The exercise that you've done, the second one, was exactly connected a bit with this, because the headings are all those elements that we see in the when we are scanning, and very often we tend to write user research and so on. And we don't want to do it because we don't want to check the framework. We want to tell the story and share the hiring manager. And the third one, to onboard your reader. Like the context, say about the why, and the why it's also missing often many times. And we need to be intentional. It's basically our job to say why. So we can't omit this. So these are the three things that improve it. Another thing is about saying more than thank you on Behance. It's not how we want to end our case study. Because then hiring managers are like, okay, but what were the unique learnings for this project, right? We want to show the impact on product, processes, people, and also your own learnings. And actually, I can recommend you, maybe I can presentation, but basically there's a really great article. I have written this, but it's from Intercom, how to make an impact as a designer. Insights, and I always recommend reading this article because it really clearly shows what type of impact you can show. And even though that you might have not done a commercial project, you can still think about the impact. You can still suggest metrics. You can still show hypothetically. I might have, maybe if this project would be real, I would contribute to improving the brand reputation, for instance, because metrics can be also direct, indirect, measurable, non-measurable, right? Of course, is to show the right top corner. So direct and measurable, like about 12%, or I don't know, decreasing the customer service tickets. I don't know, something like this. But are not always even in commercial projects. And my own career, I haven't done so many projects that were so always measurable. I have done some, but to be honest, less. So there are other things that we can talk about. For instance, I really the direct but not measurable. For instance, when you're a student, you're going through the project and you're probably doing some things. I don't know, maybe organizing insights, maybe collecting this into one folder or something like that, making this available to your peers. That's one thing. Or build components and try to make it consistent. That is, so you can say that, okay, if this would be a real project, that research ops or maybe the beginning of design system or style guideline, you can make this assumption, or even it's not assumption, it's just like, it would be possible, you know what I mean. So you can say something like this, a real project. You can just make, okay, I assume that so far and learnings, if it would be a real project, that would be research ops, because I believe that organizing blah blah blah, and then maybe you have some like real examples from your collaboration with your, maybe one of your peers have used the insights from your research, like from this folder that you have created with all the research insights and so on. It's direct, indirect, measurable, non-measurable, but also about the the width of your impact, or I don't know how to call it. So we are in the middle. We are just trying to develop. We are just talking about learnings. And another thing that is, when you don't want to again check the break boxes. The user research is important. We need to create persona. We don't need to create persona or something like that. It's not about this. It's about the learning, like a real one, not about the framework. After this circle, we have the team. We have the society, if you even work in this type of impactful project. So again, how to make an impact as a designer, it's not an art or anything, but it's my real honest recommendation to read, because your impact can be on different levels. Because ultimately, retrospective, not saying thank you for watching, but actually do retrospective in projects when we work in reality, and we then meet with the team. We could have done it this differently, or maybe next time let's go and meet and find this user group or something like this, or maybe let's make a different template for this. You do this type of thing, so that's why you want to show this as well, because this is a sign of the learning process. That's why it's so important. And last but not least, maintain your UX portfolio, which I think is quite hard for including myself as well. It's not that easy, but it's important. When we go to work and we are like, okay, we are doing on project A, on all of this, and then suddenly we're like, okay, I need to find a new job. I don't know, I got laid off, or maybe there is a great opportunity on the market. Okay, I need a portfolio, but I don't remember what happened in this project. Even if you're young, believe me, I am just you can forget stuff easily, and all those juicy things will be, you will have to just spend some time to check your project, check your artifacts, check your insights, to actually remind yourself, okay, what was this juicy learning from this user interview that I did with those 5 users? You know what I mean? Avoid this well. You don't need to actually work on the per se right now. If you can start from documenting, and this is from my documentation. I of course can't show you everything, but this is Notion, and it can be called brag document, because it's also about like your achievements, right? Because this is what we actually want to show in our portfolios. We want to sell our designer profile, right, to actually match this design. So what I'm including here, I'm talking basically about, I have this statement, goals, metrics, company, the type of the project. For instance, here is design, and here is the new feature. What was the skills? Mostly they are the same, to be honest. Actually, I should be more precise here, and that's I will change it. I also have the impact, which is also like in the table. And when it comes to the page itself, I do the journaling, because to be honest, changed many times my approach, but this is the easiest as for now for me. Screenshots, for instance, let's say that my colleague gave me a positive feedback. I won't remember this, you know what I mean? So I just make a screenshot immediately, and I just put I just wrote, okay, this was from my software developer or from my product. Maybe you have something like this from your peers, maybe from your teacher, from an internship, maybe from the freelance project, and when you will go to the job itself, you will collect more of this. And based on this, it's really, really, really much easier portfolio, including that we have so many AI tools. This is so definitely do go and work. That's what I would like you to all to keep doing. Not always, well, there will be Christmas. I won't be doing this. Sometimes I take a break because I am tired, but it's good to keep the habit. And it doesn't need to be very deep. And it's just tiny. Okay. First of all, we want to have some invites for interviews with hiring managers, but also, to be honest, we want something more. We want better quality interviews, not just more meetings. So that's why all of those tips, I hope that will help you, and you will find your match. But let's summarize the UX approach in your UX portfolio. So actually being a UX designer of your portfolio in the process of exploration and in the process of actually shaping itself. Find your designer profile to actually to find this match. Say more than hello. Hello is super nice. I like hello. I even have it in my email. But like what was this the problem? Why actually this project has started? If you are talking with 5 user interviews, well, that's cool, but we want to hear more. What have you learned? What this guy told you actually? Observe when he was, I don't know, showing you something. You can show one mockup, because when you have zoom in, we actually might want to show one mockup. But also, there are a couple more that you might want to show as well, but not too many, because we don't want to show images. This is a communication, right? We are communicating ideas and so on. Design your UX portfolio. Connected with point 1, you are researching, but you're also designing the more than thank you for watching. I won't say it at the end of this talk, or maybe I will actually. But your portfolio, your case study. It's you want to say something. Of course, you can say somewhere thank you, but I mean, and then maintain your UX portfolio. So try to document this. People are doing this in a different way, and most of them actually they're not doing this. And I know it's very hard. It's really, really powerful. Before I started doing this, I even didn't know that it can be so powerful, because I actually don't need to remember anything, because I have this document. Because ultimately, we of course want a match, right? So That's why I called my presentation "Finding a UX Job Match," because you need to have like from both sides, like in use this app, but in Tinder, right? That I like this job. I mean, like, I like this description. This is so interesting. I would like to do this job. And then you are meeting the hiring manager and you're thinking, okay, this company, this industry, this is, and you want to hear the same from another side, right? Okay, this designer is really cool. Yeah, this he would or she would fit to this role. Aim for you don't aim to be honest, unique. Your match, and that's what I, of course, wish you all. That would be probably it. But I think we'll do some Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, give Anita a hand. I do have a couple of questions, but before I go to them, are there any questions in the class that you would like to ask, Anita? Hold on. I just noticed.
Yeah, I can't
hear
hear.
you, so
I'm trying my
let me do
best,
this.
31 years old.
Yeah. And then she can hear you.
Hello.
So
Yes.
Can you hear me?
now she can hear you.
Yeah, now it's yeah, now
I
it
was
works.
just wondering, like if we're looking to add a new project, how do we decide on like what kind, like if we can just like choose any project, obviously, what kind of a project should we be looking for, and how do we like optimize the way we go about working on that project so that we can sell it the best for our portfolio, I guess.
About the moment before doing the project.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how do we decide on what kind of a project to do?
Yeah. Okay. That's a very interesting question. So first of all, depends on probably your context, because for instance, when you actually are in the organization, the selection is very hard to pick. I mean, like you are in the team and it's very hard. But before, if you are working on your personal project, and I guess that you're asking about this, then it's actually easier. So now thinking about starting a project, then I would start from actually building your design preferences and your strengths, and like you of course you can change. As I said, I will probably change many more times. I work in different organization and I was working on different problems, but when you have some specific preferences that are in your circle of interest, it's much easier to pick the project. Because for instance, let's say that you are very into, I don't know, healthcare, and then you a lot of companies, startups, who are actually looking for designers in the yes, I can see you. That's less weird than it was. Oh Jesus. That's the Google. No, it's not a Google, it's an Apple effect. So strange. Anyway, so that's how you think about this. So in healthcare, or I like to work on a particular part of the design process. You still want to do like probably every, of course, but you might want to spend more time in showing this in your portfolio. So I think the designer profile is the first thing that I would do if I would be like a student and I would not have I would not talk about the projects in the company. Although in the organization, talk with your manager, or try to impact the project, it's much more difficult. Your personal projects are the easiest. I mean, you can just pick and do whatever you want. A very good question. So I think maybe this part, a bit of a research. Maybe you have already preference when it comes to the organization or roles. Maybe you are browsing something and if I'm interested in the healthcare, maybe you can do some research and think, okay, this is the position for the startup healthcare company. You can think, okay, they're looking for these things, and you can this in this way for your project. And what it actually needs to be when it comes to the problem, well, probably with after talking with some users or doing the survey, or yeah. And of course it would be definitely easier, like if you would find more of a real case So even if this is a personal project, you can still, of course, internships, I don't know, different things, but also we forget that we can actually use our own network. So maybe there is someone that like have a problem. We don't, it won't be implemented, or it might be if you have developers, peers, or so on. But provide a context from a stakeholder, which is because collaboration is so important. It's good to show, and sometimes we miss this when we do personal projects. Because close ourselves in this room, and that's it. And we actually want to show something else, that there are some people there that we need to work with as well. I don't know if I have answered to your question.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question in the classroom? Otherwise, I will go over to some of the online questions that have been submitted. All right. So, which means
Leonard, you can switch the camera. I can't see you.
Okay. So we have a couple of questions here. One of them is, many people tend to showcase their final designs in their portfolios without discussing the processes or steps that they took to reach these outcomes. How much detail about the process do you believe should be included in a portfolio?
I think to this degree that it's enough interesting for others to go through. And actually, this is a very good and difficult question to answer. It's not like one answer for this, because it's highly dependent on the hiring this person is looking for in your portfolio and a case study. And as I told you, all different. And I know that, for instance, when I was doing those interviews for the internship position last month, I was a bit different than my colleagues. I was looking at a bit of a different thing. Some, like, I don't know, we wanted to hear why. We wanted so much, and it was so missing, and we wanted more exploration. And that's why my personal take, and from what I've had also from this research with hiring managers, this is actually good exploration. But you don't need to show every step. Some projects are super big, and it's impossible to show everything. When you show everything, this project will never end. And into five separate case studies. That's probably something to mention, that actually could have done just one project, and because it's about 5 different stories, because you have designed different product. So I think it's about balancing. I know that it's very hard, but I think what helps me, maybe I'll show you something. For instance, I was preparing for this talk. I will quickly, I don't know if this will destroy something. Okay. Preparing for this talk. And this is actually how I also do my portfolio case study. I think open. This is this. No, this one. I was preparing for this talk, and when I do the case study preparation, it's kind of the same. I do this work journaling, so I have a lot of artifacts and notes. But when I actually want to build the story, because your question is directly related to this, is what I do. So first of all, I do a brain dump. Here, these are some. I was, exploring the skills mapping and what should I talk about, and then I find out the match. It was the keyword for me. I was just brain dumping, and the same I do with projects. Try to, you have done the affinity mapping, or however we'll call it, probably many times already. So I tried to put it into some sort of structure. Just trying to put, okay, then the first one was, okay, don't be perfect, be yourself. This was or this one, say more than hey. Oh, it was hey actually in the beginning to hello. I'm trying to organize this, and after this I can have already some notes probably would be not even relevant, because I am okay, I don't need to talk about the skills mapping so much, or something like this. So I'm just trying to filter this based on the story I'm building here. This is a lot of back and forth here. Work journal, and I'm not doing any visuals at this point. I just group there are some topics, maybe some steps in the process, even, very different things. But as you can see here, I am, say more than user interviews. I'm not telling you that we are going to talk about showing insights. I'm talking you this in a different way, more interesting. Something like we call it when you create content. Everyone always recommends to what usually we want to do. So after structuring, I try to write. And as you can see, I even write something about myself. And then I can say here to make it work. And actually, basically, as you can see, I was structuring this. I am not so sure. I could do the survey with you all, but I was trying first to talk about the problem in every action, the result, a bit, what is the consequence of this behavior, and what are the solutions that we actually can have, and it was actually in every step, because this thing actually introduces me the context. And then when I have written this, I actually turning on, because it was time was a bit of a pressure in this context, I was turning on the timer and I was trying to speak out loud exactly how I did it to you today, to actually figure out if this story. And I know that many people recommend telling the story to someone else, but actually you don't need to do it. You can do it with yourself if you are shy. You can record yourself, which is very hard. I won't listen to this recording. Listen to my recording of podcast or anything, but this is how it's make it easier. And when you say out loud the story, you will find out still that okay, no, it just doesn't make sense. It's not. I don't know why I have done this, and that's how I think you might filter what you want to have in the case study. Yeah, I hope that's
Yeah. Yeah, I think that oh, we got the feedback. But yes, I do think that answered it quite well. In the interest of time, because we're definitely over time for today's lecture, I think we'll cut it there, give everyone here a break. Everyone looks a little tired because it is getting late here as well. I know it's even later for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you again. This was a really great, interesting talk. Thank you so much for making the time to visit us here.
No worries.
And for everyone that tuned in and listened and watched, thank you so much for doing that. Recordings will be available soon. And thanks.
Thank you so much for having. Pleasure.